That was my favorite part. When I was reading it, I died laughing. Like, Blair calls eggs chicken abortions.
She's not wrong.
And she's not wrong. And it was like just so funny the way that like she delivered this line in the book.
That's why Blair will forever be my favorite character, despite all her many flaws. She's so sarcastic and funny.
Hello, clowns.
I'm Ami.
I'm Yu Chen, and we're the hosts of Clown Vibes Podcast.
We're two best friends who get together to laugh and discuss a variety of topics.
From all things pop culture to navigating through adulthood as Asian Americans, and more with our own clown spin, of course.
We're so glad to have you here to clown around with us, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
It's been a clownish Friday. First of all, I'm getting personally attacked on my TikTok. Not really.
Personally attacked on your TikTok and by your table.
Yes. Ami has been yelling at me for the past 15 minutes to not touch my table.
I thought it was going crazy. Like, the sound was, if I heard that sound for more than 15 minutes, I would have actually checked myself into a mental health facility.
On a more serious note, I'm actually not getting personally attacked. I think men are just, they have fragile egos on social media, and I was just trying to be
Extremely
funny. But there are people being personally attacked left and right this past week and a half. All I've been seeing on my TikTok is mean girl stuff. Okay, I have a question for you. Does people outside of pop culture, so influencers and normal people, but like stuff we see on social media, does that count as pop culture?
I think it does when things are going so crazy on TikTok about it.
Right. It's interesting.
Like, TikTok and Twitter. I meant Twitter, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is pop culture.
And we're going to do an episode on how like social media has really influenced the way we interact with people. But specifically, we wanted to discuss how Houston is getting a bit of a shout out in the news cycle.
Sad shout out.
Because this girl posted this video of her at an Astros game, and these two girls behind her were basically making fun of her video in the background.
Yeah, like, what were they doing? I know that they flipped her off, and then I think they were just making funny faces.
Yeah,
right?
but
it's a little bit more mean than funny faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And then it took to Twitter. Like, someone reposted it on Twitter, and Cardi B commented on it.
Wait, really? What did Cardi B say? Then it's definitely pop culture.
Yeah, she was like, I'd be throwing fists if it was me.
I think that, well, we'll get into it in our episode, but it's such a wild series of events that unfold these days when you're being surveilled at all times.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that in the apology video that they made, the girls were first like, we were just photobombing her. That's not photobombing.
No. Photobombing is like doing the bunny ears.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been funny.
Yeah. And they were clearly not. And then they were also like, you know, so these celebrities are really promoting like people fighting us, and we're just like, no, she's not. She's just making a comment. She's not actually saying she's gonna fight you.
Yeah, man. And their apology video was like not an apology, right? I didn't watch it, but
not really. It was more like, hey, we were just photobombing you, and now we're getting personally attacked. I do think that like people took their like the internet took to like hating on them way too much. Like, commenting on their Google, like one of the girls Google Maps like business reviews, Like, people were just giving 1-star reviews left and right. It's not just her business, it's other people's business.
I heard that the business had to permanently close on Google so that they would stop leaving reviews. Yeah.
That's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when the internet, most times, honestly, the internet just takes things way too far. I guess the power of the internet goes both ways.
Yeah. I think they're very mean and they shouldn't have done that, but I don't think the reaction is necessarily warranted.
Exactly. Okay, the second thing that I also saw was this girl was traveling in Italy with her boyfriend and her boyfriend's family, and he's half white, half Asian. And these Italian girls on the train would not stop laughing and saying, like, ni hao in, like, such loud manner. And this girl, like, asked them to stop, and they wouldn't. And so she started filming them, and she posted it online. One of the girls DM'd her after the video blew up and was like, hey, I know how this may come off as racist, but we weren't really laughing at, like, you guys. There's just no way. How can you say explicitly what you said and it not be racist?
Yeah, and, like, they told you to stop, so they were getting offended by it. So that is a clear indication that it is.
Exactly.
Oh my God,
I think the girls' schools are, like, doing something with them. I don't know. I think they might get kicked out.
Dang. That one seems like, I don't know. Do they deserve to be kicked out for that? Probably.
Yeah.
They could just go to another school. It's not like the end of the world.
Exactly. But speaking of mean girls, I don't know. It's something about mean girls. When you see guys, you actually don't see guys do a lot of this behavior publicly, but mean girls, it's always like they're in a group and they're just
you have to be
extra mean. Yeah. And, like, I'm all about female power, but we just are bitches sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the entire Caroline Calloway episode that I had to edit. You were just like, yeah. Or, yeah. You're two. There are only two versions of you.
Okay, I'm getting to it. I think.
Yeah, let me segue.
Okay.
Let's just move forward. Okay, but speaking of mean girls, we have a full-on episode on the meanest girls.
Truly,
I'm talking about Gossip Girl. This is part 1 of our new book club series.
Yeah, very excited. So just to give you guys a recap, or not recap, but to explain what our throwback book club is going to be about, we're going to read our favorite, I think they'll be soon unfavorite, young adult books that we read in middle school, high school, especially those that have like a movie or TV show tie-in. So doing Gossip Girl this episode, gonna do The Summer I Turned Pretty. Kendall and Kylie wrote a book. We'll do that one for shits and giggles. And yeah, if you have any suggestions, let us know. We have plenty of ones that we like, but happy to do any specific ones. We're doing literally God's work by reading these trash-ass books.
I have my actual original book that I bought, but it's on my table and I'm afraid to pick it up because I'm going to look at me.
You should have picked it up at the beginning. Just kidding.
Okay, to take us all back, Gossip Girl came out April 1st of 2002. I thought it was much later.
Same.
Did you read it when it first came out, or much later?
It had 7. There's no way when I was we were 7? 8?
7.
There's no way I read it around then. Like, I must have read it in middle school. I think I had to have read it after the show came out because...
Oh, really?
Yeah, because even when the show came out, in 2007, we were too young for that.
I read it.
When you were 7?
Yes. I'm
That's scary,
alarmed
dude.
by how early I read it. I didn't know what I was picking up.
Yeah, for sure.
I bought it when it first came out at Borders. I remember so distinctly. I was with my mom. It was like one of the oh, this just came out. And, I was really into girl shit, stuff like that.
Yeah.
As children of first generation immigrants, you just really get away with so much shit because they're just unaware.
They don't know. Yeah.
This is one of those things that I got away with. Looking back, I should not have touched that book. So, yeah.
Oh my, yeah. I used to watch the OC and Gossip Girl and stuff, but I would have to sneak it. For some reason, my parents were aware of those when the shows were coming out, and anytime they were gone, I would go on the family computer and watch the episode.
Okay, but the OC is really just not as raunchy as Gossip Girl, right?
It's not as raunchy, but it has a lot of adult themes. It is bad. It's not good.
It's interesting
it's
because
different.
Gossip Girl, in comparison to a book like The Click, which we are going to also read, has a lot more, I think, adult themes in the book. The characters themselves go through a lot of adult situations in their high school years that I think normal teens like us growing up in suburban Texas just would not have any exposure to.
Definitely. There's no way we're going to bars and drinking and our parents are giving us free reign to throw these huge parties.
Remember when your cousin tried to do that?
He succeeded.
He was living the Gossip Girl life before we ever knew.
Oh, man. Yeah, I must have read it after the show, but I remember downloading the first episode of Gossip Girl, the TV show, on my iTunes because it was free. The first episode was free. I still have it on my Apple, I guess.
When the book came out, what did you think of it when you first read it or first started watching it?
I feel it was just so long ago, I don't really remember. The show made a big impact on me, but I don't think the books really did. I'm sure I read all of them. You know which books actually made a bigger impact on me that I remember a lot more? I think because I bought more of those was the Jenny spinoff, the It Girl books.
Oh, yes. I think It Girl is written much better than Gossip Girl.
Yeah, agreed. And I really liked those, but the Gossip Girl books did not leave as much of a impact on me.
I just remember reading it and being so obsessed with the characters in a way that I just I never knew that people lived this kind of life. And when we were 7, what were we in, elementary school? Maybe middle school? Yeah,
definitely. No, definitely elementary school.
Elementary school?
You're in second grade, first grade, second grade.
Being in high school just seemed so far away, and it seemed like they were just such adults. And I just thought that was what you were supposed to be like as high schoolers. Turns out not, but I remember I was so obsessed with Blair. I remember our 7th grade, we had to film, 6th or 7th grade, we had to film this little thing for class, and we each had to portray a character, and I wanted to name my character Blair. Looking back, that was such a weird name. Such an uncommon name at that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Blair was my idol, way before Gossip Girls, the TV series ever came out.
Why did you pick Blair over Serena? Do you remember?
I guess it's the Asian in me who's like, oh, she's so prioritizing school. She's the one that, honestly, I was bamboozled into thinking that I wanted to go to Yale. Like, to this day, or not to this day, but like up until high school, I'm pretty sure I was influenced to want to go to Yale because of Blair Waldorf and Gossip Girl.
Blair Waldorf, the first influencer.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Getting into the book that we read, what were your initial thoughts while reading it?
I thought it was really bad. No wonder I was able to read it when I was 7. Because
for sure.
The book is a really easy read. Like, no complicated sentences, no complicated plot, just straight on like you're talking to a friend.
Yeah. Oh my God. I thought the book was so hard to get through just because of how bad it was. Like, obviously it was a really quick read. It didn't take that long. Yeah. But each like time I sat down to read it, I was like, God damn, I don't want to do this.
And I think it's because there's no plot. There's no plot to
no
the first
plot.
book.
No. Are there plots of the next ones? I can't remember.
I guess this entire series isn't really, there's no plot to it. Is this like a type of book now where there's just no plot to the book? But I guess the plot for the first book is Serena comes back from boarding school.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Is that really a plot?
No, it's not. Which is why I was like, there is actually no plot to this.
We're mostly just like reading about their day-to-day. And it's like, if something happens, cool. If something doesn't, then whatever. You're just hearing their thoughts. What I thought was really interesting is how from paragraph to paragraph, they switch narration. Like, if there's a scene between Blair and Chuck, when Blair is speaking, you'll hear read her thoughts. But then when Chuck is speaking, you'll read his in the same page.
Yeah, I think she actually does a really good job with that because I don't get confused every time she
Agreed. It was very clear for such a confusing way to write.
The concept of a Gossip Girl blog, though, I was just thinking about this because that was at the start of internet culture and internet blogging, and I feel like if Gossip Girl existed in our day and age, it would definitely not be a blog. I just realized Dumas is our modern day Gossip Girl. She or he 100% is.
Even in the second Gossip Girl, I think they name drop her. And in the second Gossip Girl, they used Instagram, in the new version.
Oh yes,
yeah. I think it would definitely be on Instagram or not on TikTok, but maybe Twitter.
Exactly. Yeah. Side note, did you know that my middle school had a little Gossip Girl?
What? On what form of media?
Okay. Get this. So in our Asian group of friends, so I went to a middle school that had a bunch of Asians. It was just in a gifted and talented program. So there are naturally probably a lot more Asians there. At one point, some of us started receiving these emails in the form of a Gossip Girl column where this person would spill the secrets and call people by their first letter of their name. I forget what it was called. It wasn't called Gossip Girl, but it was very similar. And I was just in what world did we as middle schoolers have enough secrets or scandals to warrant a
exactly
newsletter?
Also, was it true stuff? And how did they know? Did you ever figure out who it was?
I don't think I ever did. I don't know. It just it was very short-lived.
I'm sure.
But it was all on Gmail.
Wow, early adopters of Gmail.
I know. We were early adopters.
Interesting. I think just idea of Gossip Girl was really cool, but I think the execution in the books was bad. It was her, first of all, I think it was really unclear how, in the books, how she knew everything. And she knew it down to like a really specific degree, which was confusing.
I think so. People would submit sightings, right? And I think this is what's interesting about the way she wrote the book is that she kind of plays into the theme of like rumors and unreliable narrators.
Yeah.
And she would equally write stuff on the Gossip Girl blog that was not true, but written in a way that seemed true. And that would, in turn, then she would demonstrate how that fed into the way that these socialites acted with one another due to these rumors.
Yeah. Specifically, like all of the shit that was going around about Serena that was seemingly untrue. We never got confirmation one way or the other.
Since we both watched the series, did you read the series and like have the like television show in the back of your head?
100%.
I could not get the vision out.
Same. The entire time was just like, how is this lining up to the show?
Exactly. And I think that's like speaks to how well done the show is and like how ingrained in society it was.
Yes.
Like, in our youth.
The show turned garbage into gold.
Exactly.
Like, if the show did not exist, no one would be reading these books.
All right, so
they're just trash.
They're trash. Let's dive into the book. So the book basically starts out with Blair at her parents' like, or her mom and Cyrus, her like soon-to-be stepdad's party, and you're introduced to all the characters. And basically the main plot line is Serena comes back from boarding school. It's immediately revealed that Blair and Nate are dating, but Nate wants to sleep with Blair. Blair doesn't want to sleep yet with Nate, but she's been thinking about it. And the introduction of Serena has complicated things because it was revealed that Nate slept with Serena and Blair doesn't know that, and Blair and Serena are best friends. This little love triangle, so common. Tale as old as time, but the way that it played out in this book really confused me in the way that like Nate held so much guilt over having slept with Serena, and throughout the entire book I saw like no remorse coming from Serena about the situation.
Agreed. Which I think is very different than the show, because where I think the show made like a good change to make it make sense, that she slept with Nate and then essentially went to boarding school because she felt so guilty. In this book, she was more just like, la-di-da, I love Nate, I'm gonna continue to try to like see him and whatever.
Yeah, it was very clear when Serena came back from boarding school, like Blair was mad at her. That's kind of the plot line of this first book. And Serena's just really confused as to why Blair is not speaking with her or is like upset with her. And shouldn't it be just so obvious? Shouldn't it be so obvious that like Blair was going through a really tough time as a young adult with her parents going through divorce, and Serena just like didn't even stay in touch because she was so like focused on her own life.
Yes, the fact that she is so confused is so dumb. And like, what's interesting is she's written to where she feels a lot of sadness for the situation, but at no time is she making like a real effort to understand what's going on because she doesn't know and fix it. She's more so just like waiting for things to go back to normal and like being sad when it's not happening.
Yeah, and she like comes back to Constance and is just all confused why she's behind on her classes, how like friendships have changed, and like her main focus, I guess, is like who's gonna be her friend now. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
well, you had friends, but you also just like don't have any understanding of why they're not your friend anymore. And shouldn't that be like your first step into getting back into the circle?
I think she doesn't understand what friendship is, or doesn't know like how to be a friend. From her point of view, I think their friendship revolved around like partying and like having fun together. And it didn't seem like it really revolved around any serious stuff, but a lot of serious stuff has happened since she was gone, and she is not adjusting to that.
On the other hand, between like in parallel with the whole Serena, Blair, and Nate situation, I think the second parallel is the introduction to Jenny, Dan, and Vanessa, who are kind of like the counterparts to the Upper East Side socialites. Like, they are the ones who went to their exclusive boardings or exclusive school without any money, like they were scholarship kids. Vanessa lives in Brooklyn, and they're just not, they didn't grow up in this social like world, but Jenny, the sister of Dan, really wants to be a part of this world. Dan really wants to be a part of this world too, because he is in love with Serena. Obsessed. But I think it's more than that. I think he deep down has always wanted to be a part of the world, but has somehow just like embodied what he thought he needed to be to like show that he was against it. Like, he drank so much coffee, he only read like, I don't know, he seemed like the type that would read Tolstoy or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's very clear that like he's interested in that life just because, or not just because Serena, but for other reasons.
Yeah, and his infatuation of Serena is what's finally like leading him to make steps to become part of the world, that world that he didn't have that catalyst before.
Right. And then Vanessa is just, I think she was actually the only one that had like truly her own individual personality in this series. It was definitely annoying. Like, her personality is annoying, but at least she'd had a lot of individualism that didn't really come out of Dan and Jenny's character.
Yeah. Which, that's kind of how the show was too. Like, Vanessa was the most individualistic, while Jenny was always trying to be part of that group, and Dan was trying to do anything to
get with Serena.
Yeah.
I really don't understand, like, why was Dan so obsessed with Serena? I feel like it's a visual representation of what maybe a lot of us experience when we've developed a full-on story or picture in our mind of what a relationship with a person would be like after having one interaction with them. And Dan's infatuation with Serena is that exact situation.
I think Dan is a character ploy to show how the majority thinks about Serena. Like, they think like,
all right, we're back after technical issues.
This has been a morning.
What has been some of the more surprising aspects of this book for you?
Off the bat, noticed how many sibling differences there are from the shows. Like, Serena has an older brother, which changes things, and Blair has a younger brother.
I completely forgot about
sister. Yeah, Vanessa's sister is present. So, does Chuck have any siblings in the show? I mean, not in the show, in the book.
In the book, yeah, I do think he does. He has like an older brother or something like that.
And Chuck's mom is there. And Chuck is the fucking worst, like, sleazy ass, horrible guy. That was sick.
It was sick. Read. I'm also just confused how, like, what was he exposed to as a kid that led him to a lot of the behavior that we saw in this first book? because no way, like, was he reading their version of Gossip Girl as a 7-year-old?
Maybe he was just consuming a lot of like porn.
Maybe.
With no adult supervision.
There was like no adult supervision like in
at all
any of their lives, even like the Brooklyn kids, which is interesting because I wonder if kids who grew up in New York also have the same type of experience. Remember one of the Bachelor contestants, Kit Keenan, or do you remember her? She was like the daughter of Cynthia Rowley.
No,
she's now like an influencer, but she was saying how like she kind of grew up in the New York scene as a kid, and basically all she did was just like go to these bars and party as a high schooler. And I'm just like, whoa, real life Gossip Girl right here.
Oh my god, I can't imagine going to a bar. Well, I mean, it doesn't actually happen in suburban Texas for them to not immediately look at you and be like, you're not 21.
Our like our junior, maybe senior year, we had this like bar open up called Buck Wild, which is kind of like the dirty version of like those two-step bars.
Oh, yeah.
And that would be like the cool place you would go to party. I'm just looking back, I'm so like embarrassed.
Yeah, okay, we also had like a two-step country bar thing, like not in Lake Jackson but in Angleton, and I went there a couple times and it was disgusting.
It's actually gross.
Yeah. Oh, I fully forgot that. Yeah.
Texas things, right?
Yeah, and what else was I think it's very alarming that they were promoting all of this in the book.
One thing that really stood out to me was the way that Blair's eating disorder was portrayed in the book. And I was just confused how it was never really characterized as like an eating disorder or something that you shouldn't be doing if you have like a healthy relationship with your body. Mm-hmm. In the book, every time she's stressed, which is literally the entire book, she is overeating, binge eating, and then throwing up in the bathroom.
Yeah, so casually.
As a kid, when I was 7 reading this, I literally did not even know what this... I just thought it was like, a normal thing that you did because they didn't explicitly explain it. I honestly didn't even know really about eating disorders until one of my close friends in high school developed one. Mm-hmm. And like it just like was never talked about at our schools or never really discussed in media either, except for in these like moments when they're kind of like hidden in the overall storyline of like the romanticized life of these New York socialites.
Yeah. What in relation to her eating disorder, what really like freaked me out was when Nate goes to the party at the end and he's like can't find Blair and he's just like, oh, she's probably throwing up in the bathroom. Let me go see her. And you're like, what?
What's even more wild is the way that like, what is that one thing that Nate said? Like, I was with Serena, but it was really because I wanted you. And Blair was like, this is what I was looking for. Like, this is the exact line that I wanted from the story. Like, she has truly romanticized their life in a way that is just like, as an adult, you're reading it and you're like, why did you ever believe this coming from him?
Yeah. And he's like so boring and all he does in the book is get high and get drunk. And Blair has concocted this, I don't know, narrative in her mind that he's like so much better than he is.
Exactly. And I think because she's like romanticized it like to the core. Like she grew up with him, like he's from a reputable family. they actually don't have anything in common except for the fact that they're both best friends with Serena.
Yeah.
Like, nothing
And
about
they grew
their
up
relationship
together.
makes sense.
Yeah. I wonder which maybe they touch on in later books, like their parents kind of influenced them getting together like they did in the show. Who knows? I will not be reading the rest of the books to find out. Side note, which I think is like good in society these days, is how much like light people shed on disordered eating in general, and how many thought patterns we have around eating that is not normal and not natural, that have just developed because society is so into diet culture. I think it's been a good change.
Oh, for sure. Remember that brunch scene when she didn't want to eat the eggs?
That was my favorite part. When I was reading it, I died laughing. Like, Blair calls eggs chicken abortions.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. And it was like just so funny the way that like she delivered this line in the book.
That's why Blair will forever be my favorite character, despite all her many flaws. She's so sarcastic and funny.
Yeah, seriously. What do you think about Gossip Girl as the narrator of this book? Is she the narrator?
I think she is the narrator telling us the story. In my mind, like, she's a really unreliable narrator in the way that she brings in a bunch of rumors that circulates around this group of friends. Also, why is she reporting on, like, Dan? In some of her sightings, I'm just like, why would she even care about Dan?
Okay, yeah, that I also thought that when I was reading it. I'm like, how do you even know who Dan is? Dan doesn't even know who Dan is. Like, yeah. Yes, because of the way it was written, did not feel like she was fully the narrator, because whoever was speaking, you were also getting their thoughts around what they were saying. So I thought in general, like, the narrator was, I don't know, this know-all person who like switched between the people, but wasn't Gossip Girl, because it was rooted in their thoughts and like each character's thoughts and feelings, which how would she know?
How would she know about Dan?
That's true. How would she know about Dan? And I think she even reports
Dan
on Vanessa.
Is Gossip Girl.
He's not.
Gossip Girl is Vanessa. But does Vanessa even care enough?
No. It cannot be. It's not anyone. The show fucked up by saying it was Dan. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. And obviously this author left Gossip Girl as a mystery in the like 12 books she wrote. How many books are in this series?
A lot.
I think like
and
a
now
really
there's
obscene
a manga.
amount. What?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. But I don't know why the show felt the need to like name a Gossip Girl and then chose the most confusing one. It could not have been anyone in their circle.
And I think that's like the beauty of Gossip Girl, right? Like, if Dumas was ever exposed, I feel like that would ruin the effect of Dumas.
Yeah. Like, although she was exposed.
Really?
But I don't know if it's confirmed. Yeah, I think it's like someone named Melissa. Melissa sounds wrong because of the Avril thing, but she was exposed. Like, everyone thinks they like fully know who it is, but it's not confirmed.
Yeah, the beauty of Gossip Girl is it is truly like could be anyone, but also no one at the same time, and everyone's just living their life.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right. Would you recommend this book to like your younger sister if you had one?
No. Absolutely not. I would if I had one. I wish I had a little sister. When she went to college. Like, I don't think this is an appropriate book to read anytime before even though that they're in high school, like they do really inappropriate things and things are taken too casually, like Blair's eating disorder, that I would not want her, this imagining person, to read it in high school and think that that's how she should be acting.
All right, let's, as part of our book club, let's review or rate this book 1 out of 10. I think I'd give it a 3. It's poor writing, but an interesting concept and an easy read.
Yeah, I would agree. I think 3, maybe even a 4 for that chicken abortion line. That was really funny. And just like how I'll give it a lot of credit for the just concept. It was ahead of its time.